Hello there everyone and welcome back to Corey Loses, where today we are once again continuing our Thrawn's Revenge 2.3.6 preview playthrough as the Galactic Empire. We have recently secured Coruscant. We've got Palpatine sitting there. Karita, I'm actually going to sell the Moff Palace, or sell the capital rather. Get a barracks there, and we're eventually going to rebuild the capital on Coruscant next turn. Actually, if I sell one of the commanders, I think we can afford it. So we'll just do that. But yeah, so for those of you watching on YouTube, this is being recorded live on Twitch, which is something that I generally do every Monday/Tuesday. I do the live recordings of our Empire at War playthroughs. So we're going to record 2 or 3 episodes now. I might record the 2 or 3 episodes of Fall of the Republic right after. So a lot of stuff will hopefully be happening today because I got bored. But we'll have to think about what we want our next steps to be. I think a Ride to Authority makes a good target for us, but so would cleaning out the rest of the CSA. They only have 2 planets that we've left kind of free. So maybe we'll actually start out with Fire Blossom. That was a very Canadian way to say out. Fire Blossom down to Severo. And so yeah, I'll be trying to respond to Twitch chat questions as we go through. What was your tier? You were tier 5 with a VSD. Tier 5? You are a VSD, but you know what? Tier 5, screw that. That is a ground unit. A lot of ground units. And should we just go straight for Liana after that? I think we should. Alright, so they have a Recusant as their biggest ship. Okay, Shizzle, I'm not too bad. How are you? Any plans to change or update the single planet start GC mode, or is it as developed as it's ever going to be? I mean, it's hard to call anything done. I don't know that there's any fundamental changes that we have in mind for it.
Choose your reinforcements.
Like there's nothing specific. So which one were you? Pylon. Like there's ways to have more randomization in it, where like the planet you have, the forces you have are random. Coralwood Pride as well. And that could be a thing, but that might end up being a different GC. So it's hard to say what the future holds for FTGU. Modular Task Force Cruiser. Rampager. Ace Striker. Commander Jim Brenlow, an Imperial 2 class frigate. SDF Mega Road. Okay, let's actually put them all in. Mega Road, Queen Amidala's Revenge. Call to Order. Spam Musabi. And you can't stop the music. So this is probably one of the last times you're ever going to see this MTC. Aceritzel did a new model for it, and Bob did the texture. It's going to be in for 2.3.6 and maybe for future episodes, but... Thank you, obviously evil. How far do you estimate we are from update being released? It's hard to give specifics. We are in testing right now, and overall it's been going relatively well, so hopefully not too long, but they are pretty sweeping changes that we're making, so we don't want to rush it. We want to make sure that it gets out sooner than later, because then there's some stuff we want to work on afterwards, and of course having everyone stuck inside, it'd be nice to get something for all of you to be able to play. And like we're pretty happy with how things have been going so far, but again, it's a major release. We want to make sure it's lives up to its potential when it gets out.
Taking him out. Getting a lock. I got one. He won't be around much longer. Reporting in. Engaging the enemy. For another attack. We've got them on scopes. I'm on this one.
Okay.
Intercepting. Under control.
Your command.
Watch him.
Direct
He's coming
fire at
around.
that laser cannon.
Target critical.
Taking fire.
I got him.
Stay in formation. Ready for battle.
Returning to your position.
When are we getting the neutron star with a super laser on?
I'll take care of this.
Awaiting your command.
See, Nohemrid just leaked way too much with that. There's a ground unit there. Where was it?
Where'd he go?
Oh well.
Nowhere to run. Falling out of formation. Get behind them.
Reporting in.
Draw their fire. Attack
Like,
formation.
ideally we'd like for the update to be out by start of the month, but I don't know if that'll end up going through. But it's not super far off in any case.
Fire. Commander, instructions received.
Reporting in.
Where'd he go?
Then we'll be getting to like the next stuff we're doing for both mods is going to be some pretty major structure changes,
Target locked.
and some pretty major like
I'm on. Watch for enemies.
factional or like galactic management slash economic changes.
Commencing attack run.
Awaiting.
All right, Mega Road, can you back out a little bit?
Destroyer here.
Closing on target.
Let's see if we can
Enemy forces.
move the ships that aren't super in danger up a little bit.
Target locked.
Copy.
Attack formation.
Flank speed. Cruiser online. I copy.
Go after the stragglers. Taking them out.
Nothing we can really heal on you anymore.
Excellent shot.
I copy.
They're coming in quick. More enemy craft. Taking fire.
Attack that target. Reporting. Attack
You
position.
make the icon for the LAC Bald Charlie. No, but that reminds me that I want to put a picture of Bald Charlie through the thing that makes like a stylized picture, like a painting, oil painting style thing that people have been using on the Discord for the last day or so. I want to put Charlie through that so I can show that to Justin and Charlie. I think that would be choice.
Tightening
Fire
up.
at will. Locking on.
Attack formation. Coming back around for another.
So it's like a
Let's finish him. Enemies in range.
a site
Getting a lock.
We're moving out.
that takes pictures, like real pictures of people, and it turns them into like auto-generated oil painting style stuff. It's pretty cool. There's different styles you can do with each picture.
Intercepting.
And so for those who just watch the stuff on this channel, there's another channel I work with, X2, which is run by Eckhart's Ladder, and also the editor Charlie, who I do like Bureau Cart and stuff with. I like the Joint Command series is on that channel that I've been doing with them. And during Bureau Kart, where you basically just we get drunk and play Mario Kart, a few weeks ago, Charlie said if we got to, I think it was 400 viewers, he would shave his head on the stream, and we did, so he ended up having to do it. And so I just want to take a picture of him without his hair through that generator, and I think it'll be fantastic.
Coming back around for another run. Losing power. Intercepting. Excellent shot.
Form up.
Bombers.
So look at all these ground units.
Engines activated.
We have interdictors, which is why the CSA is not trying to retreat, even though we haven't activated it. Because we made it so that they did that, so that the AI won't try to retreat as long as there's an interdictor there. Because it becomes really cheesable, where like you just deactivate the interdictor, wait for them to start to retreat, give it like 9 seconds in the countdown, deactivate it, or like activate the interdictor so that it cancels it, then deactivate it so they do it again, and it ends up just being really dumb. But
Pursuing enemy forces.
What are your orders? I copy.
that's why that's happening.
Target locked. Eliminating target.
Star Destroyer standing by. Fallout.
Ready for orders.
I would like to get more done on the explosions and everything before release. And there's still some stuff I want to try to do with like the planet lighting and everything. Because some look decidedly better than others. But
Bombers at the ready. Bombers deployed.
all that, especially explosions and stuff, is probably going to be a pretty long-term process.
Yes, sir.
Sir, I've detected.
Standing by.
Comlink active.
Excellent shot. Cruiser standing by.
Alright, this is it for the CSA space units.
We are victorious.
And their ground units, really. I'm just kind of worried about the New Republic coming and killing stuff that we're blockading. So I do want to build up some independent forces up here. So like if we can just build the ground units that we're going to be using for taking over these planets up in this area, that'll be much easier. What ship is the hero unit using? That is an Imperial 2 frigate. It's more recognizably, or more widely known as the Rand Ecliptic type, probably. If you've heard of it, you've probably heard of that. But it's fairly obscure. Who are the CSA again? So the CSA are kind of like the steampunk evil corporate people from some 90s source books and like the Han Solo trilogy. They're a relatively minor but kind of interesting faction. We're almost done Shinnen's Death Scythe, so let's get prepared. I think Pallion's fleet can join this Karita fleet. Oh, Ession. So they had a fleet. Okay.
We've located the enemy.
This is actually not that bad.
Star Destroyer.
They must have been moving up to Ession when we attacked.
Yes, Commander.
Ready, sir.
Awaiting orders.
Okay, let's try to go this side. I used my Pathfinder to blockade. So I take it there's multiple factions. Does this include Tibers? No. The Zan Consortium is not a faction in the mod.
Let's go. Awaiting your command.
Small criminal organizations aren't really things that we turn into playable factions.
Squadron standing by. Engines activated.
And thank God they fell off the face of the galaxy after Endor. Like they, as a faction, they're only really a thing that existed for Forces of Corruption, which kind of like inflated their importance because they were made for the game.
Changing course to intercept.
But they're not really a political entity. They're not really a military entity. If you take any sort of reasonable world-building standards for them. Like it's fine that they made those allowances to make them viable for the game they were making them for, but when it comes to choosing factions for a post-Endor mod, or even during the Galactic Civil War, it's not something that we really use a slot on.
Commander, they're hitting us. Ready for duty. Roger that. Get behind them.
Form up.
I have
Awaiting
them
orders.
now.
I'm on this one.
Roger that.
I can't switch position.
Attack. Fire.
He's about to be
Destroyer
destroyed.
here. Attack.
Under control.
Form up. Moving out.
Watch it. He's coming
on.
around. Returning
Copy.
to your position. My scopes are
Awaiting
jammed.
range.
Where are the others? He's headed your direction.
Waiting orders. Enemies
Gun them
incoming.
down.
Is the Bulwark actually starting to come out here? Arrow of Sullust?
I'll take care of this. Unable
Direct
to
fire
shake them.
at their laser.
Falling out
Looks
of
like they're
formation.
trying to.
Target those lasers.
Cover me now. Watch for enemy ships. I've been hit. Engines are malfunctioning. Go after them.
Copy. Over there.
Alright. The actual warships are starting to get over here. So spam wasabi, pause, Rampager as well.
Copy.
Pylon, come forward a little bit.
After the stragglers.
And part of the Coralwood Pride,
Order confirmed.
shift over to this side a little bit as well.
Reporting.
More enemy craft.
Our sensors are being affected by the
Eliminating
nebula, sir.
target. I'm on them.
Alright. Prey birds,
Course set.
up over there.
Form up.
And scimitars,
Advance.
go after the bulwark.
Star Destroyer standing by. Yes, Commander. Awaiting instruction.
What tier are you anyways? You were tier 5 as well.
Star Destroyer reporting.
I mean, tier 5 is better than nothing, but...
Target locked.
Nowhere to run. Falling out of formation.
Yeah,
Their fire.
Open fire on those
Yes, Commander.
we're gonna start taking
Awaiting
a lot of damage from these if we can't block it out. Well, let's go for the
open fire. Attack that
the Victory and the Recusant, I think, are probably going to be the biggest threats. And Core World Pride, just fucking fly out of there.
gunship reporting.
Let's try to get the MTC in range to help some repairs if it's able to.
Detected.
Direct fire at their laser cannons. We've lost our turbo lasers.
They're coming in quick.
They've destroyed our ion cannons.
Enemies in range.
More enemy
Our launch
craft.
bay is gone.
Taking fire.
Alright, they're backing off.
Round.
Let's get Pylon over to the bulwark now.
Your command.
Shit, we're going to lose Core World Pride.
Ready.
Them in my
Here.
sights.
Reporting. Ready to go.
Yes, sir.
Nowhere to run.
At your command.
Falling out of
I
formation.
think the neutron star is what's actually hurting it right now.
Reporting.
Alright, just stop. It's actually going to be better for you to stop.
Roger that.
Draw fire.
Roger that.
I'm losing. Attack formation.
Form up.
Go after the stragglers.
Reporting. Confirmed. Move to attack.
Regroup for another attack.
Destroyer here. Copy. Regroup.
Kind of just hoping the shields will come back on them. But
Narrowing position.
Attack that target. Our lasers are destroyed.
shit.
Ready for battle.
Nope.
Cruiser here.
Sorry, Core World Pride.
More enemy craft.
Fire at will. Attacking. Losing control. Our primary engine system is down. Our turbo laser batteries have been
What if
disabled.
there should be an ability that stops your own ships from firing, mainly to help with boarding attempts? It's something that I've thought of before, but it's kind of difficult to implement in a way that makes sense. Especially because you only get 2 real ability slots. So it's not something that makes sense to implement on most ships, and then it becomes kind of inconsistent. It would have to be scripted in an entirely different way.
All fighters attack.
Star Destroyer standing by. Ready for duty. Squad, move in. Target A.
Tightening up.
The VSD isn't helping.
Are the primary target.
I can't switch position.
There we go.
Cruiser online.
Closing
Our
on
target
target.
priority is the
Let's
Star
finish
Destroyer
him.
reporting in. Roger that. The ion cannons are our primary target. Yes, Commander. The launch bay is gone.
Okay. That was costlier than I wanted.
Cannons awaiting
So I
orders.
got the CIS insignia.
Fire at will. Attacking.
We're hopefully, after this release, going to have a better way to manage the different versions of the mods, like Fall of the Republic, Thrawn's Revenge, and other stuff, where it won't happen so often that GitHub fucks it up and doesn't copy over the right textures for ships.
Awaiting order.
Getting a lock.
Rampager's fine right now. So is Ace Striker. Everyone else is a little worse for wear.
Awaiting your command. Engaging the enemy. Yes, Commander.
Pylon and Spam are just going to go destroy the shipyard.
We've got them on scopes.
Enemy has been defeated.
A few losses. Alright, we'll have to just deal with that. Like, what do we want to do about Ariadu? What do we want to Ariadu about them? Well, let's do that. Coruscant, we're going to get a trade port there. Odic, we may as well do a trade port. I'm going to get a trade port there. Okay. Hello, Ricardo. Did something get retreated out there? Okay, we won anyways.
Tactical battle imminent.
Just getting bounced around the galaxy. Let's see. So we're getting the division there. You're really not worth getting money at. Okay.
Reporting.
We're just going to spy on both of the Ariadu planets. Where are you, Shonin? Alarm has been killed, New Republic has conquered Antimeridius.
Sovereign stands ready.
Alright, we have Shuna's Death Scythe.
Construction complete.
Let's see what camp has. We're actually going to get Vision of E back as we go through. They'll probably be pretty easy planets to take. Alright. This is the Praetor that we wanted to use the super laser on. I actually think this playthrough doesn't have a lot of the reworked SSD stats. Yeah, I don't think it has any of them. Because most of them are done now, it's just when the playthrough started, obviously. That was the past. This is one of the backgrounds that I think turned out much better than I'd hoped. Where a lot of them still need to be redone, but I went through the existing ones and tried to make them look a bit better. I think this is one of the ones that it actually kind of came out not bad. Well, this is a lot of stuff.
Choose your reinforcements.
Alright, Death Scythe, Hydra, Shadow of Hyrule. Let's get a shitty fleet commander. It's a regular VSD, Durendal, Silver Chadio, X of Furry, One Piece Lego set, Rage of the Empire, couple Venators, so the problem here is that because of the pop cap, the Praetor isn't going to be on the map yet. So we might need to wait on the cooldown and hope that that's ready by the time they get here.
Advancing on target.
This is potentially going to be bad.
TIE defender standing by. Setting up my run.
Taking fire. Commander, they're hitting us.
Commander, attack commencing.
Intercepting. Where'd he go?
Alright, the Decimators are going to get decimated.
Falling out of formation.
We have so few bombers in this fleet.
Awaiting orders.
Attack formation.
Pursuing enemy forces.
I'm on them. Eliminating target.
Reporting in. We're moving out.
Excellent shot. Gun them down. Stay in formation.
So I mentioned it all explicitly as we were destroying the Nighthammer, I think it was, that the SSD stats haven't been reworked yet. So they're going to significantly underperform in terms of like just their raw firepower and defenses. And there was still comments about like, why are they that weak? And at that point, I can't really help anyone. So I will just say once again that that is the case. The SSD stats are pre-rework in this playthrough, and I don't know if I'll be able to transfer in the proper ones. But that is why they are as weak as they are at the moment. It won't be that way when you guys are actually playing the release.
My scopes are jammed.
Blasted scum. Nowhere to go. Getting a lock. I got one.
Losing power.
So we just don't watch if it's completely in the net. So the thing is, the questions that they were asking, they would have gotten from just seeing the stuff as it was happening as I was talking about it, which is like, come on, come on.
Sir, ready? I've got him.
We await your command, my lord. Intercepting. I'm on them. He won't be around much longer. We await your command, my lord.
Cruiser reporting.
Alright. The command bonus is actually contributing a good amount here, even though it's level 5.
Batteries online.
This allegiance is Hydra.
Attack back target.
Get behind them.
Destroyed. Form up. Awaiting orders.
Enemies in range. We await your command. Them now. Taking them
Weapons
out.
ready.
Engaging the enemy. I'm on this one. Locked.
Target those lasers.
Under control.
Luckily, the Sovereign still puts out a decent amount of damage, even pre-reworks, because it's the same projectiles. And it hasn't been focused enough for the fact that it's a bit squishier than it ought to be to really factor in.
Losing control.
Where are the others?
So we're in better shape than we would be otherwise if they were just directly focusing the Sovereign.
He's about to be destroyed. Getting a lock.
Take out the ion.
Closing on target.
Destroyer standing by.
Pursuing enemy forces. They're hitting us.
Sir,
down.
attack position.
I've got him. He's headed your direction. Taking him out. Narrowing position. Enemies in range.
Are they going to jump in the Praetor, though? Sometimes they just don't.
Star destroyer reporting.
Sometimes they will decide, I've lost enough here, I'm going to go home and cry a little bit.
Engaging the enemy.
Get behind them. Pressing the
Shield's
attack.
almost gone. I'm on this
Initiating
one.
attack.
Taking
Sir,
fire.
attack
Nowhere to
position.
run. Falling out of formation. Draw their fire.
I'm really surprised that Shadow of Hyrule isn't dead.
Them now. Under control.
Take out their engine.
Attacking the
Yes, Commander.
Watch him. He's coming
Reporting
around.
in. Target
Watch for
starboard.
enemy ships. Coming around.
Attacking target.
Returning to your position.
Priority
Eliminating target. Go after them. I've got them in my sights.
I've been hit.
Launch event 2.3.5, we play as the Empire, we can't build vendors, but in 2.3.6 we can. So the only vendors I have are the patron ones. When I do the patron unit list, I don't tend to area restrict it, except for a few things like World Devastators. Because otherwise I could play through, especially for stuff that's like locked to the later eras, I could play through the entire campaign and never get to them, which would be kind of shitty for those people.
Coming around. I'm on this one. I got him. Under control. Locking up. Watch him. He's coming around. Enemies in range.
Attack
We're being
that target.
targeted.
Coming about.
Target locked.
Awaiting
Eliminating
order.
malfunctioning.
Destination.
Which is why we also started with access to MTCs when those are
Be destroyed.
later eras as well.
Returning to your
Attacking
position.
target.
Excellent shot. Intercepting. I'll take care of this. Getting a lock.
Your command.
Closing on target.
Fire at
He's
will.
headed your direction.
I copy. Fire at will. Reporting.
Narrowing position.
Commander. Attacking.
Pursuing enemy forces. Taking him out. I got one.
Right, I'm pretty surprised we actually didn't lose Hydra there.
Move out. We shall be there shortly.
Sovereign, stand ready.
I'm going to try to keep our stuff a little bit closer together,
Reporting.
just in case they do drop the Praetor on something.
Locking on.
Awaiting command.
Roger that. Right away.
They will be destroyed.
Awaiting
It'd be really awkward if
attacking.
Praetor gets dropped in just as the cooldown comes up on the Sovereign. But I don't think they're going to drop it in just because of what it's up against.
Full speed ahead.
What is your favorite ship in all Star Wars, not just Empire War? Definitely, like, right now it's been the Recusant for a while.
Enemies in range.
My lord.
Cruiser reporting.
Standing by.
I also like a lot of the KOTOR ships, but
Ready.
Recusant's the best. Best design. CIS as a faction has the best ship designs in my opinion.
Gunship reporting.
Alright. You need to chill.
Copy. I copy. Moving
Yeah,
out.
let's actually send them over for the Golan 2.
Star Cruiser here. We await your command, my lord.
Did they move it? I must have missed that, if that's the case. And we just got a new patron. Thank you, Eric.
Our launch bay has been disabled.
I think we're at like the record number of patrons that I've ever had. And it's like 147, almost 150.
Online.
A while ago I did say that if I ever made it to like 200 patrons, I'd try to do a 20-hour stream.
Destroyed, sir.
So
Weapons.
that might not be an impossible thing to reach in the future, which is cool.
Destroyer standing by. Yes, sir.
We await your command, my lord.
I need to do another 12-hour stream at some point. Last time I did it, I was sick and I just lost my voice by the end of it. I lost my voice by like 6 hours into it. Like
Star Destroyer.
I basically was doing 4 or 5 different games for a couple hours each, and between each game I'd take a break for like 10 minutes so people could go
We await your
bathroom breaks, get food. But every time I came back, my voice would be like 33% worse.
heavy cruiser standing by.
Reporting in.
Eradicate.
So I need to do like a makeup stream for that, or just another
Victorious.
thing. Wonder what would happen if you only had a single ship that cost so much pop cap it was over the limit, and an enemy fleet attacked it. No stations or anything. Would it be an auto defeat, or would it spawn over the pop cap? It would probably begin. So we lost Rage of the Empire there, which is unfortunate. But the battle would probably begin and then immediately end. I've never tried that, so I'm not 100% sure what the order of operations there would be.
We're moving
Let's go to
out.
camp.
Coordinates received.
There's the Praetor. Are you fond of the sequels, or would you have preferred something else?
The enemy is approaching.
I didn't really like Force Awakens. Like, it was fine. I enjoy most of The Last Jedi, and I thought Rise of Skywalker had some fun moments, but overall I don't really like it. But I don't know really there's anything else specific that I'd like, but I've tended to like the movies that aren't trying to be part of the main saga better. I feel like those have been some of the higher points. Like Rogue One is one of my favorite Star Wars movies.
I want burning hubs. Nothing less.
I don't know if we'll actually be able to kill the whole thing with this. Yay, we can. I wasn't sure if the damage adjustments had been taken into account with it. Or, sorry, let's go to eBack. Oh, they're leaving.
All power to the laser batteries. Setting course.
So, like, I'm more excited about stuff that kind of falls outside of the scope of the main saga, and I have been for a while. Like,
Awaiting orders.
I wasn't that excited about the whole Benioff and Weiss movies because, like, Game of Thrones. Oh shit, there's another one. Game of Thrones was a pretty big letdown when they didn't have any source material left. But I'm hopeful for like The Mandalorian has been great. What are you? What? How many of them? Fallen Order I really enjoyed. I know it's not a movie, but just in terms of Star Wars content from recent times that I've really liked. All right, I don't think we can beat this with our stuff being what it is.
Engaging the enemy. Tightening up. Let's finish him.
I think we're gonna go to camp, yeah, we're gonna go to camp
Very well.
again.
We shall be there shortly. Reporting.
No, I'm not just gonna jump in and jump out a bunch of times with the super laser. That would be lame. Oh, hi, Meldrude.
I go.
Construction complete.
Disney sequel Star Wars, not real Star Wars, never happened right from us. So I don't really like that attitude towards it. Like, a lot of the stuff that it's fine to like or not like whatever you want or whatever you enjoy or don't enjoy, but so much of the new stuff is still made by the exact same people who did the old stuff, and there are parts of the new stuff and the old stuff that are good or bad independent of what universe they're in. So kind of like writing off one whole set of it as being bad or not Star Wars, it kind of cuts you off from some stuff that you'd probably enjoy, whether you take that attitude with the new canon or with Legends. But like, the fact that Jedi Prince exists in Legends doesn't mean that all of Legends is bad, or that you wouldn't enjoy the Thrawn trilogy because of Jedi Prince, or because of like Shadows of Mindor if you didn't like that, or like, if you don't like the overall story or not interested in engaging with the canon because you don't like certain stories in it, that's fine as well. But the idea of like writing it off because it's like quote unquote not real Star Wars, I feel like that's not really going to get you anywhere.
Reporting. Affirmative. Target confirmed. AT-AT ready. Destination check. Awaiting orders.
Like, I don't really like J.J. Abrams as a director, so
There they are.
I've rarely enjoyed anything I've watched from him. But at the same time, I really like Timothy Zahn's novels, and I think that applies about as much to the new canon Thrawn novels as it did for me with the original Thrawn trilogy, or with the with Outbound Flight, or with Survivor's Quest. And I feel like he's gotten better as an author since he wrote the Thrawn trilogy, so there's a lot in the newer books, like Outbound Flight I like a lot more than the Thrawn trilogy, just in terms of how it's written. And so I would recommend people who liked the Thrawn trilogy that like they'd probably like the new Thrawn trilogy as well. But looks like we might get an era change. Bosk was using his flamethrower on the AT-AT. What's new in 2.6? Any new ships for Rebellion or Empire? Well, 2.6 is a few years off. This version, 2.3.6, we've done complete reworks on ground and space stuff. We've done a lot of complete reworks on ground and space combat. We've done a lot of redone models and skins, so like all the Mon Calamari stuff has been redone. MTC's been redone. A few dozen models have been redone. I don't know that there's many new units. Like Intigo gets probably getting added for the Empire of the Hand, but the focus hasn't been on adding new units. It's been on doing the stat reworks and the combat reworks.
I will arrive shortly.
Sensor node
By my
constructing.
will. No one commands me.
Choose your reinforcements.
Moving to
Construction
destination.
complete.
Order
At maximum
acknowledged.
unit capacity.
What are you waiting for? Annihilate them.
Alright. That was closer than I wanted with Palpatine.
I shall crush the rebellion.
We've secured a landing zone.
Follow me.
Reinforcement point
Moving out,
contested.
sir.
Right, we can bring them in.
Reinforcements on.
I'm not as scared for them anymore.
Brigade standing by. Rolling out. Awaiting your orders. Walker moving to attack. Your orders, Commander? I anticipate no problems. Reporting. Targeting at max.
I've always avoided anything to do with these on Vaughn because I thought it didn't fit well into Star Wars. Yeah, there's
Reporting.
that's not a terribly uncommon opinion.
Proceeding to
I enjoy it because like my favorite story, like character arc in Star Wars is Jason Solo's, which is obviously like Yuzon Vong War is a huge part of that. And I do like how Del Rey got some more of the like continuous canon rather than the loosely connected but not as directly stuff that like Bantam tended to do. So I enjoy the Vong War, but I know that's not a universal opinion. But, like being involved in making Star Wars fan content as long as I have, we've kind of seen even among our fan base. Oh right, this isn't gonna work. Even among our fan base, or just interacting with all that, like the idea of like some new thing not being real Star Wars isn't really a new idea. Like you got the same sort of sentiments directed towards the prequels, the Dark Nest Crisis, Yuzon Vong, Legacy of the Force, the Legacy comics, the Fate of the Jedi. So it's personally hard for me to put a hard line on like, no, the new canon, fuck that. Old canon is great.
standing by.
Whereas I prefer to just
Ready for orders.
read the shit I enjoy.
I'm here, sir.
Yeah, the thing I really liked about the Vong, aside from like Jason Solo's story in particular, is that it was
Reporting in, sir.
kind of part of the Del Rey push to unify the whole story. And there were some things in that I don't like as much, like the implication that Palpatine only became who he did to stop the Yuzon Vong, which I think is a very hard sell.
Artillery
But-
online. There is a great disturbance.
You go order. Moving to position. I read you. Copy.
We're gonna lose viewers. There's more here than I thought.
We have a new enemy.
Will there be boarding shuttles in Fall of the Republic?
Reporting.
Acknowledged.
Roger that.
We're probably keeping boarding in Fall of the Republic to just the huts.
Awaiting your orders. I am en route. Enemy forces attacking.
Advancing. Moving out.
We don't really want the CIS and Republic capturing each other's stuff.
Dark side clouds all. Go when I am ready.
Alright, I think we might have saved Veers there.
Unit destroyed.
I copy.
What do you want? It can be
Unit
done.
destroyed.
Just barely.
Unit destroyed.
Because, like, thematically, during the post-Endor period, everyone was just stealing everyone's shit.
Coordinates received.
The galaxy was a huge clusterfuck. But in the Clone Wars, there were much clear thematic styles of
Bombing run available.
but much more regular organized militaries. Logistically, it's kind of harder to keep up supply chains and maintenance for an eclectic mix of shit you've captured, but because of the way ship production was kind of disrupted, or all the shifting planet allegiances, it was harder to build up that kind of production base. So it makes more sense that during the period, people did rely on just whatever they could steal. Whereas during the Clone Wars, there's like huge manufacturing bases that are just
Construction.
pumping out new shit every day. Because Blue Relics got a buff, can we capture them in TR? We're actually, there's a few of the larger ships that go beyond the usual rule of
I copy.
2,200 meters
Initiate attack
that
run.
are capturable in
Yes, commence attack
2.3.5 and earlier that are going to stop being capturable after reworks because it's just too much.
right away. I copy.
Spread out, men.
Standing by. Reporting.
Can you,
Unit destroyed.
what do you,
Ready for orders. Yes, sir.
you don't need to go up like that.
I'm here, sir. Roger that.
Did
On my
we lose the other,
Reporting.
how did it die?
Form up. Order. Acknowledge.
Something hitting it? I didn't think something was hitting it. I mean, clearly something was hitting it, but
The dark side is strong.
Yes, Commander.
alright. Let's move out.
As you wish, General. Reporting in, sir.
Bombing run available.
Affirmative, sir. Open fire.
Is this a vehicle? No, that's anti-infantry.
Ready to receive your transmission. Reporting. Reporting. Attack that target. Yes, sir.
Alright, there's camp.
Confirm.
Evac will be easy to take on the ground,
Yes, Commander.
but harder to take in space,
I will crush them.
evidently.
Reporting. They will die. Awaiting your orders. There will be nothing left of them.
Hey! Alright, there's a lot of losses there. But that is going to do it for this first episode, so thank you for watching, everyone. For those on Twitch, we're just going to save, and then we're going to keep going for those on YouTube. We will be back with our next episode. So, thanks again. Hope to see you next time. Bye, everyone.